Well, hello, welcome to Drawing with Fire. I'm Valarie, your neighborhood pyrography artist, joined with hubby
Hubcap
and fur babies. Work.
Arf.
And today we are working on the area of the dark hair, some dark shadowing on the face, and we're going to discuss how these play against each other because we have a bit of white shirt here. And because I had already planned for a dark background, I have to decide how dark the background is going to be based on how dark I do my hair. So right now I am heating up the 18 extra small Optima sphere, and I'm actually going to bump that up to, we're going to start at 3. Remember, it's a smaller tip. It carries the heat differently and gets hotter, burns hotter on a lower temperature than some of the other pens. Hey, Andrea, Sheila, Michelle, Wanda, hi. Alrighty. Where did I put my test board? Because I remember now that my other test board, I'm not sure, it doesn't burn as hot, but I have one. I have my old one still. It is basswood. And we will, let's see here, I'm working on the hair right here. So I'm going to try to get the best angle because the hair is coming down, so I'm going to need to drag down. And I guess I should put it over here because if not, I'll cause myself a problem. Alright, here we go. So again, we're working this right here, and we're going to see how much this plays into everything else. So that's why we're specifically focusing on that. I forgot that I needed to replace the board. Alright. Now this is going to be darker, especially right here. Right here next to the face is actually behind and at the bottom. So it's going to be the area that gets the least amount of light. So it is going to be the darkest. So I'm just going to use the top half of the tip and drag down. And I can actually go darker. I'm going to bump it up to 4. Make sure I'm actually using the right pen. Because that seems odd. Yep, I'm using the right pen. Okay. Never mind. Alright. Drag down. See? So right here we have a white shirt. I could even put some white charcoal on just so I can have a visual, and right under the ear is going to be our darkest part. And what this does is also ensures our perspective is right because it's below the ear and behind. Where's my white? I'm looking for my white. Get in the mood, but oh, there it is. That's what happens when you spend a week cleaning out the closet. You lose stuff. Alright. I'm just going to go right up against the face. And most of this will be wiped off when I wipe with denatured alcohol, so I'm not worried about it. I don't need it to be bright white, but we can see how much that changed. What we're looking at. Alright. So I know this pen is hot. Drag down.
You mind?
But I still have to try to visualize how dark. I'm flipping it because it's easier to flip my board than stand on my head to get the angle down at the bottom. Remember, because you lift your pen, it recovers the heat. No pen that I know of burns at the same temperature while in contact with the wood as what you set it on. Alright, so our darkest area. And now we can see how much the mustache, and I know the light, so I'll angle it, how much the mustache just lightened up, as did the eyes, because we have a dark on the board.
Yep.
That is how much these play into each other. So I'm going to do some darker streaks right up next to the ear. Just like with curls, the area that's closer to the scalp is going to be darker, and as it comes out, it will lighten up. And then when it goes back in, it'll darken again.
Burl's here.
Hey, Burl! See, I can't see the detail of the hair, meaning I can't overall see the direction next to the head. So I'm going to do a few little curls in.
What was that?
Right up
she
against,
walked under you? Oh.
right up against the ear. It's going to be the darkest. It'll be lighter. And see, because I'm moving quicker and more of the full tip, it's burning lighter. Sure. Move over here. I start traveling across my easel. Don't know why. Okay. So I'm just blocking in real quick. This is how all of the hair is going to go. But I didn't feel we needed to do all the hair just in one live. Just take a live just for that when we got other things we gotta get done. So now his ear is starting to pop out. Now I do have some white on my hand just because of what I laid down. I'm just gonna wipe it off real quick. I'm not gonna worry about it. Right up against his face and his ear. The darkest part of the hair. And then it starts lightening up as it comes out. Even though we've got the light hitting the central part of the face and we got the night shadow on the side, his ear is really light as well.
Do you mind?
What's she doing?
She's chewing on my arm.
Ah, she's doing that. Alright, follow the ear, it goes up. Go right up against it. I don't know if Carmen's going to make it today. I actually bought... I need to test it, so I'm not going to recommend it right now until I test it.
Okay.
I bought another the UV workable fixative just so we can see how that goes.
Yeah, she wants to play.
Ah. Not playtime. So I need to put curls in. I'm dragging flat. Top part of a curl is always lighter, even with black hair.
Yep.
Because that is where the light is hitting it.
Well,
it can be a little messy.
In hair, even though it's a mass of strands, hair is
always in a group.
Inherently shiny.
And in a group.
So it's going to reflect no matter what the color. So you're going to have those highlights.
So, and with curls especially, but all hair, it goes in different directions and it goes this way and comes back. We do have a bit of a gap where there's thin hair where it just goes crazy out. So I just need to pay attention to that. So because this area is darker, that implies it's going back. Ooh, why do I have a nose there?
She's
sorry,
sniffing the back of your
sweater,
of your shirt. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I didn't expect a nose
there. Yeah, Wanda.
there.
All times are playtime. That's true.
Especially with her. She must eat Dad's hand. So it's messy. I'm gonna let it be messy. Because to be honest, I think that adds to the charm.
Yep.
Makes it more interesting. I'm using the side right now just to put in a little bit of darks here and there. See, that's darker here. This hair goes down under. And then just, I'm not being precise because his hair is not precise.
Yes, Wanda, that is. Yep. Yep.
So this is where the curl goes down, so it comes back, goes down, it comes up, it's lighter, just following the direction. Darker right here. I'm just going to go over it a couple of times, moving quickly, dragging.
Well, plus, they get
Up.
super excited every Tuesday.
They know the day. You don't even have to tell them.
Nope.
Let's see here. I need that to be a shadow. It's going to be smaller and come up, following the direction. And then we'll go out, which is lighter. So that is a curl. It won't look as curly until I get more stuff in. That is a curl. Comes down, and it comes out, goes down, a little bit lighter that overlaps. You're not really going to see even detail with the overlap. Again, this is an old photo, so we're not going to get, we got a bit of a gap down here. So I'll block this in, leave my gap. Let's see. Come up to the ear. And we can see how, excuse me, how quickly it starts looking like hair. So we've got hair that comes out here, got hair that comes out here, because I can see where I've left the gaps. This hair goes this way. I'm just moving quickly so it's not overly dark. I will darken it in a minute. So I'm just blocking in. I guess it's blocking in, but I guess I could see how some people would think I'm outlining, but I'm not. There's no defined lines. Bring that down. Edge. Make sure I'm staying on camera.
I'm watching you for that too.
Thank you. Because I'm like all over the place.
You've been pretty centered, actually.
Moving quickly, just to darken in here. Go back to dragging. Again, it's not going to be darkened yet because I'm just trying to follow from my pattern. These gaps.
Layla, what are you doing?
And then I think I'll stop right about here and we'll quickly go back to the face. Let's see here, that one goes this way. This one curves. I've got some curve around and connect to others. Comes up. Right now I'm flat. I'm just dragging the ear. See, some of these connect, so I'm trying to find the connections and bring them together. Let's see here. This one is straight.
Yes, I see you. Oh, thank you.
So now we're going to start. We have some smaller gaps up here, so I need to pay attention to that. The ear is right here. We got some hair that comes down over the ear. Everything up against the ear is dark. There we go. Using the top half of the tip. And this is more of an oval, rectangle. So we'll get that shape in. It's lighter across here. So we will go below it to darken. This right here is not a gap. I'll drag. Be a little crazy with it. I might put a little gap right there, just so it's more interesting. That would be an artistic choice, so that we don't have one blob. Up against the head is darker. Then we got lighter at the top of the curl, where it goes in, so it goes waves. The lower part of the wave is darker. As we go up, it lightens the lightest part. We start going down. As it gets to the valley, it's the darkest. Hopefully that is like easier to remember that way.
Makes sense to me.
So any valley is going to be darker than the peak. Most hair, a group of hair, comes to a V, whether it starts at a V or ends at a V. And I'll grab, let's see if I can, so right here, this ends in a V. So it's open at the top and ends. This starts at a V and comes down to a point, and now it can start back up into a different V. That's going to be your basic shapes to pay attention to for hair. Even if we curl it up a little bit. No, Roxy, we're not playing. She is in a mood.
Everybody calm down.
And we can change the depth just by where we darken and how. Now remember, when you've already burned an area, if you want to go much darker, it's going to take more heat and a slower stroke to darken. But I don't want this heavy black. I'm still trying to decide if I'm going to save the heavy black for the background or if that's going to be lighter. So that's behind what we need to darken here. Alright, now with the face, excuse me, bigger areas of shading, I prefer the 18 small. It just burns a little smoother. And wipe just to make sure I don't have any white. But let's back out. See how we're doing?
Oh, looks good.
Hold the camera. Sheesh. There we go. And it's starting to look like hair.
Yeah.
But with this dark, and I do need to do some more blending, but look how that lightened up.
Yep.
That.
It's all about comparison. And
See, when I cover, it goes a little slightly darker, but then when I uncover, it goes slightly lighter, and that's because they all are a part of each other. I need to bring out more shape.
Andrea says looks good.
Thank ya.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Because that right now looks like a flat line, so I'll have to pull some more darks and shape this a little bit more. But that's okay. We're going to go right up against the ear for the shadow.
No. No.
I'm actually going to bump down to 3. And then I'm using the small brush phone. I'm actually going to bump down to 2.5. See how it goes. I can control with my strokes. Alrighty, so our darkest part is right where the collar and the skin meet. So I'm just using the tip. I'm going to block it in for now so that I have it falling right up against it. I am going to bump up to like 3.25. Get the shirt shadow. Using the edge so I can keep it small, or thin, I should say. Gets thicker down here. And then we have a heavy shadow here, but we're not going to hit that. I just want to get the shirt. Blend it out with the tip. Quick oval strokes. This is the thickest part of the shadow right here. Thins out. Alright, so we have this first wrinkle right here. I'm going to start with just the tip. Get back on camera. Overlapping. Going back and forth, blending it out. And then bringing it up. The darkest part of the wrinkle and the shadow is going to be right in the valley of it. And then I can go more flat with my pen, move my tip quicker, and it will burn lighter without ever adjusting my temperature. This is why it's really, I think it's probably one of the most important things to burning, is to just, even if it seems redundant and boring, put on your favorite music and just spend time with your pens. You don't have to buy a whole bunch of different pens. Spending time with them will be your best investment. And if you notice, in general, overall, for my main subjects, I don't use that many pens. This is a darker shadow. Alright, let's get this wrinkle in. So, when we got a wrinkle, the lightest part of the wrinkle is at the top. Just like with hair, the valley is darker. Let's see here. We've got a really dark shadow mustache right here. And the way I'm going to do this one is, because faces are round, they're spheres. Like that. Our darkest part is down here. Start flat so I can better control. Going with bigger strokes. I'm at the same temperature I was where we did the darker on the face, but because I'm flat, it's burning lighter. The shape of the face. Up. Closer and bend. Because we have a lighter spot here. What I am going to do real quick,
Yeah.
I need you to grab the patterns, because
These ones?
Edgar's pattern, yeah. I need my pattern. What I'm looking real quick is just to see how I laid out the shadow. Let's see here. So the shadow comes right, okay, that's how I laid it out. Sometimes you gotta look at your pattern just to see how you laid something out. Nothing wrong with that. It's a good extra reference for you. Stay, Edgar. Stay. Alright, pull the heat. So I'm going to come up in here.
He's a rebel. He doesn't conform to your standards.
Yeah, he is. Bring this down. This shadow is shaping his chin. That's why it's really important to get it right. In fact, the darkest part of the shadow is right in here. And Super Toasties, remember if you're doing this pattern, where the dots are, that is designating shadow. Just makes it easier to see what's going on. Alright, this is darkest. Hopefully my shadow of my hand. I don't know why lately. Oh, I do, because I've started closing the window so we could...
Yeah, so...
It's cast. Normally I have window light coming from the left. That's why. Hopefully that will help. Alright.
I think it's decreased the shadow a little bit.
Alright.
But I mean, we still see clearly what you're doing, so...
It's dark. It's not a line. It's kind of broken up. So we got a lighter shadow here. I'm actually going to leave no burn right in here. These shadows are what dictate the shape of the faces. That's why they're so important to get right. There's a lot of things you can kind of play with, but these shadows are what tell us the information for the face. If I change the shadows, it changes the shape of the face, and in changing the shape of the face, it changes who the picture is.
Yep.
But these shadows, they're extremely important, and makes it more interesting. And that shadow comes together here. Running top half flat. I need to do some erasing. Now that I have some shadow blocked in, I can erase the graphite under these wrinkles. You see his face is starting to come together. It'll look, right now you guys, the camera's angled so you can hopefully see a little bit more of what my tip is doing. Let's see here, so that's bright. So right here we have a dark shadow. I'm just using the tip. I haven't adjusted my temperature. Shadows are the most important part of doing a portrait, regardless of who it is.
Well, because we don't do line drawings,
Yep.
The shadows are the things that define the physicality of the whatever you're doing. So if you don't have shadows, you don't really have anything.
Right, using the top half of my pen, and I'm kind of following the grain here because that's just how the board is. I tend to like my patterns running long grain versus short grain. I do feel a difference in the burn, so I try to lay them out that way. I would say that's all, personal choice.
Sure.
How, or dependent on the wood. I just prefer it that way. Alright, so this is our darkest cheek shadow. we do have a light shadow here. So what I can do is quickly run flat and just kind of give me a shadow. And then,
Wanda is asking long grain versus short grain. Explain, please. And then also,
I can't get to another piece. Well, no, I can't get
what do you need?
behind you. And that second down block is wood.
This one?
Yep, I just need to.
Books.
Oh,
Sketchbooks.
next one up. Nope. Over there. There we go. No.
No.
I knew where the wood was.
Where?
Gray. To your right.
This one? Okay.
Alright, I need to see two different pieces. You can just pull the whole. Okay, that's in gray. I can use that too.
Okay, they're connected.
That's fine. I just want to show
Well,
the different grains.
here. You need a.
I need one where. Yep, that works. Thank you. So right here, it might be easier.
Watch
Let's
out! Watch
see.
out! Watch out! Watch out!
You can
Cynthia's
see
here.
the. Hey, Cynthia. You can see which direction. Let me find a pointer. Actually, I will use. We can see the grain is running up and down from the cut of wood. My cuts are at the top and the bottom. I mean, it's all cut, but the grain is going up and down. With this one, we can see.
Hey,
Luckily, I can erase this, so I'm not worried about it.
that's not for you. That's
We can
plastic.
see the grain is going
No, you're not gonna stay out of it.
left, right. Now, had I laid out Edgar this way, it's still running short grain, or still long grain, but it's running where the grain is going horizontal versus vertical. Same here. I can run it. See, the arrow changed. It's still long grain, but the grain is vertical versus horizontal. On this, we have end cut, where the grain is circle. So, put that up a little closer. So, if I try, or no, if and when I go across the grain burning, it can be a little rougher burn. It can, depending on the type of wood, pine is going to be the worst, where the grain is hard and then soft, and then hard, then soft. The hard areas aren't going to burn right versus the soft areas. In this case, I have the grain running up and down vertically. So I have it at the long grain. I'm trying to think of a better way to explain short grain. Because in general, my wood tends to be
Is it because the patterns aren't as long? Like the
yeah, that's one way to explain it. I'm thinking on the best way. Long grain and short grain are how the wood is cut, but we can also use it in burning because of how we lay out. So the grain is going horizontal with, say, my easel. That's going to be the easiest way. That way is now vertical. Let's see here. For the purposes of wood burning, vertical is what I prefer versus horizontal.
Wanda, she says, is long grain up and down as opposed to crossways?
Yes.
Okay, and then Wanda also says, is that what you meant when I burned my great-granddaughter on a round board versus a plank?
Yes, because this is the rounds. I can't say the rounds are always, but when the rounds are cut and they have the bark on them, and you see the grain in a circle, that is an end cut, meaning they took the log and they cut it and they cut it and cut it, which is why we still have the bark. So that's an end cut. Okay, here we go. Okay, maybe my brain is engaging.
Here we go. Here we go.
Hold on to your booties. All right. So end cut, end cuts. They're sliced so that we see all of the wood. Short grain, or when they cut it for our planks, they slice it like this and cut in this manner. And that's when we get... Okay, brain just shut down. Hold on.
Holding.
I had it, and it like got up from its chair, flipped me off, and walked away. Okay. I had it going with my pencil, so we're going to keep going with the pencil. So, end grain is sliced. Boop, 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 boop.
Oh.
Lumber is sliced so that it looks like a board, like that, in different thicknesses. Short grain is when the grain is short. Long grain is when the grain is long. And I probably should stop before I just make it worse for everybody.
I think we understand.
It is different information for wood carvers, because it's very, very important for wood carvers and furniture makers, because they have to decide how they're going to cut where and what kind of cut in regards to long and short grain, and what's going to be the face of whatever they're making. For us, for the purposes of burning, long grain runs vertical, burning across short. So, okay, here, it came back. Don't talk. If my grain was running... God, I feel like it's work. Alright. If the grain was running up... Oh, she got my paper. I dropped it. If...
Hey.
The long of my board is this way, but the grain is running this way, this is a short grain. If the cut of my board is long this way, and the grain runs along the longest cut, that is long grain. If the grain runs along the shortest cut, that is short grain. There, did that help? Was that better?
No, that's good.
Okay.
And what's short round?
A character in Goonies.
No.
I am. Don't. Just don't.
Sorry.
Just don't. My brain is like...
It's okay, Dr. Jones.
See? Indiana. Sorry.
There we go.
Goonies was the first thing that popped in my head.
Same guy.
I know. Alrighty, so let's get back to the shadow. Hopefully that worked. Maybe the brain was like, okay, I was being a little harsh. I'll come back and help her. Alright, so this shadow.
We got there.
It might have been a little walk.
You got there. That's all.
We got there.
That's all that matters.
Alright, so we're flat. It's going to be a bit washed out because I do have this light brighter. Here we go. Camera out of my face. So I'm flat. I haven't adjusted my heat. It's still around 3 1/4. But I'm flat. burning along the grain helps. It just burns a little smoother. Again, this is basswood. We have some shadow that comes down here. That's right, I was doing the lighter shadow right here. Alright, train is starting to take off from the station. We shall see if it remains on the rail.
I'm sure it will.
Well, I'm glad somebody is, because I ain't.
And if it doesn't, we'll still stay on the train.
Alright. I find, for me, burning wise, when I want a smooth texture, turning my board so that I can burn along the grain gives me a smoother burn. As well as how I move my pen. So this is a bit lighter here. Skin tone. Again, I'm going to have to darken up some shadows, I'm sure. But right now, I'm just getting the skin tone in. Running flat. This part is darker. So I'm going to go up on my tip. But my tip is still flat. And let's see here. Do you remember the different, let me find them.
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I want to show the tips, but I want to, there we go.
I remember how to do that.
Let's see here, full tip, edge tip, stroke, shading, tip only. Alright, there we go.
So, what are you using now?
Right now I'm doing tip only because I'm trying to get into a small place. So it's tip only.
Okay.
Oval stroke. Down. Out. But I'm doing this right up against my graphite where the darkest part is. Same as down here. If I get a little too dark of a I have to resand this board anyway. If I get a blob, well, I'm shading. So there, we got a blob.
Okay.
Move you guys in. When I get a blob and I'm shading, let's start over. Alright, so I get a little blob. What I do is burn around the blob, darkening, and then go over the blob until the blob disappears. That is if it's going to be a dark area.
Makes sense.
It's going to be a light area. I do have to do a little bit of sanding. You see, and what I just did, I've camouflaged the dark blob, and by not going over it, I haven't darkened that blob, and it has disappeared. I mean, you guys can see it because I'm pointing it out, and how the light is hitting the wood. But if this was just, you know, back here where your eyes would look at a burning normally, you don't see the blob. I would just keep blending it out until it was gone. I'm going to sand this board anyway, so that works. So that's how I hide a blob when I'm shading. And even if I wasn't shading, if I was doing something else, in regards to the blob, I would try not to touch it with the heat because that will darken it. And I'm trying to camouflage it so it's easier to just burn around it than it is to scratch it out, because then it does kind of mess with the board when you have to do a little sanding.
Yeah.
But when I do have to fix a mistake, which happens, it definitely happens. None of us are perfect. We all make the make strokes that we don't like the outcome of those strokes. How about we say it that way?
Not me. When I make mistakes, I decide that they're not.
Well,
I just like them. I'm like, yes, that's perfect.
yeah, you can do that too.
I'm lying to myself.
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
But I was just going to let you do it. Alright, so I'm flat. Top half of the tip. Moving quickly. Again, I haven't adjusted my heat at all. I'm using how I move the pen, the speed of the pen, to control how the burning is coming out. Put some shadow here. So, I started talking about fixing a mistake. The way I tend to do it is I will evaluate if I can hide it. If I can hide it, I hide it, and I move on. And pay attention to how that occurred so that I don't do it again.
When you say hide it,
if I can camouflage it so that it's not obvious, I may know it's there, but somebody looking at it will never know.
okay.
I've camouflaged it. It's not taking away from my piece. I can take a deep breath and go, fine. Things happen. And move on. I know, that's a shock.
Well,
but I can do that.
You know, that's actually, that's quite a challenge.
It is a challenge. Let's see here.
And you have come a long ways in that regard.
I'm actively working on it. Because it's not someplace I want to be all the time. Alright, skin has texture, so it's okay if we get a little bit texture going. I don't want it perfectly smooth, because then it won't be realistic. Even if skin looks smooth, it absolutely is not. That's called makeup and talent, but it ain't smooth. So I'd say talent. I'll give them that. It's definitely a talent. So, but if I need to scrape off a mistake to redo it, what I do is I will take my sanding stick. Right now I don't feel I need to fix anything. So I'll take my sanding stick, and most times I don't use it. I'll wrap 400 grit, and there's a specific reason. I do have 220 and 300, and I believe, let's see here, this side is 220, I believe. And this side, these sanding sticks are cut off remnants of fingernail files. So if you got a fingernail file that you're not using, you can actually cut it up into different shapes and use it for yourself. You don't have to buy a pack of these. I can't get to that one. So I will grab another one. They call them sanding twigs. Washable. I haven't washed mine. But they don't give us the grit. This one, when I ordered them, oh no, I'm sorry, they're fine. I ordered 100 of these. They came in a pack of 100, and I think, don't quote me, they were under, I know they were under 20, but that was 5 years ago. I don't know what they are now.
Okay.
But I will wrap the sandpaper around the stick. If it's really deep in, I will start at 220. I will sand the area with the, see, this is my little 220. But if I start with 220, I have to.
Spencer's here.
Hey, Spencer! It's been a while. I've been worried. Yeah, I guess you wouldn't know because I haven't sent a message, so I apologize for that. So I would sand with 220 in the area I'm trying to fix. Get as much off. I'll use my eraser to pull out the sawdust, sand dust. I don't know what you want to call it.
Sanding dust, it's fine.
Yeah. So I'll pull that out. But since I've now done 220, I now have to do 320, and there's a reason. So I will go back over with 320, sand that area, and I do go a little bit bigger than the area I'm trying to fix because I'm going to have to blend. I'll repeat with 320, and then I go in with the 400. And the reason I have to go in with the 400 is that is what the rest of my wood is sanded at. So I have to get that area I'm fixing back to the same area as the rest of where I'm burning. And going bigger, here. Now super dark oopses are going to be harder. Yeah, I'm going to bump the heat a little bit so I can make this an oops I need to fix.
You're intentionally making an oops?
Not on Edgar, I'm not.
Okay.
Alright, so let's see here. Alright, a little dark. I'm gonna bump my back to where it was. Zoom you guys in. We're going to act like I gotta fix that. So I will take, I'm gonna move Edgar just so I don't knock him around. Take my sanding stick with 400. Now I have to go with the grain. Got it. Because if I go against the grain, when I varnish, you will see it will look scratched. So we gotta go with the grain.
Spence says, sorry, life, you know.
I know.
I'm late because I had to drop Kiva off to get spayed.
Do we know Kiva?
I don't think so.
I don't know
I
Kiva.
think Kiva sounds like a new
New friend?
Doggy, probably?
Hopefully he'll send me pictures later. Okay, so I'm not getting it down to where I want to. And I just realized I may not have 320 out. So I may have to skip the 320. But you wouldn't skip it. So this is 220. I know 400 is not going to fix it. I'm going to over sand. I can try with the twig. Hold it down at an angle because I need to get it sanded. So that's how I do it with just the twig. If I don't, and this is another reason to go bigger than your mistake, I don't want an indent. If I go too crazy with my sanding, I'm going to get an indent, and I do not want that. Alright, so I'd also do this with the 320, and then I would go up to 400. I don't have my 320 out, so that's the only reason I'm not showing. So this is 400, going with the grain, going all around it. And this is just if I'm fixing a small area. If I'm doing a larger one, I might have to think about resanding. But knock on wood, I haven't had to. Alright, go back up to 400 because that's where I was when I did that. In fact, you could lower your heat a little bit. And then I'm going to go around the area to blend out. So it's all the same tone. And now we don't have that dark line in there. You guys may still be able to see it because you're like looking for it and the camera's like zoomed in. I'm going around the darkest part.
You're still on camera, but you're sliding a little to the right. Now you're off. That's better.
And there we go. I've now fixed it and we no longer have, so we're going to back it out. We no longer have that line down the middle where I got too dark. And I do recommend make some oopses, and practice fixing them. Because in doing so, if you make an oops on the piece you're burning on, you'll feel more comfortable in fixing it, and in knowing how to fix something, you're more likely to be adventurous and try some different stuff. So I highly recommend practicing oopses. Intentionally make them. However you want, make them all different ways. Try all different ways to fix them on the scrapboard, like what I was just doing with this. Fix them, and then you will have more confidence in yourself that if you make it oops, it is not the end of the world. And trust me, I have had many end of the world situations that I thought was the end of the world, that once I fixed it, I could go, okay, nobody knows about it. It's fixed. I may still see it, but that's okay. Nobody else will. And then just keep going. But if you know how to fix it, you're more likely to be adventurous. And in being adventurous, meaning when Carmen watches this on replay, you go darker, you will see growth in your burning.
So, and I would say too, like, you know, I know wood is at a premium, but you can burn on paper too. Like,
paper is slightly different though.
But what I'm saying is that however you do it, like, I used to do this thing where every piece that I did, no matter what it was going to be my best piece yet, which is a good attitude. But it's also very high stakes when you do that, and it puts a lot of pressure on you. So maybe do some projects where you just like, I'm going to try and do this the best that I can, and I'm not going to worry about it. And then, you know, make your mistakes on those, and then, like Valarie said, you know, figure out how you're going to fix them. And then that's a lot of pressure off of you, because if you're doing like a portrait for a family member or something like that, and you're like, oh man, I got to get this right, and then you make a mistake, and then you're stressed out about how you're going to fix that mistake. Well, you know, you're always going to make mistakes. We all do. But make more mistakes on stuff that's low stress, and then fix those, and then you'll get the confidence to go, when you have something that you are really invested in, to, you know, fix that mistake. You'd be like, oh yeah, this is how I fix it, because I've done this before.
Is this Carmen?
What's up?
Spencer. I think he's showing the puppy dog.
Here you go.
If I had to guess. Oh, Kiva.
Oh, she had to have a leg amputated.
Aww.
But I get, you know what? If she's with
so cute.
Kiva, my friend Betty's dog. So it's not Spence's dog?
No, it's his friend's.
Oh.
I know what he's talking about now.
Well, I was gonna say, but if she's with Spence, she's in good hands.
Yeah, he may just be caring for her while he recovers. Well, he recovers. All right. I'm just going to go flat. This is a light area, but it is not a white area. So I am flat, going oval in general along the grain. And it's going to go darker as we put more in. See right now, I can see this the cheek needs to go darker. And then he's got a shadow. He's got bags under his eyes. And these bags, we may not want to put them because we feel a little self-conscious, or the person who has them feels self-conscious. They're actually interesting information that is a part of the person and makes them. So they are important. So if you're doing a portrait and somebody has bags but they want them gone,
well, that's a discussion that you got to have with them.
Yeah, as an artist, you have to discuss it with them.
Because it's going to change their look of who they are.
Yep.
And you may get to a point near the end of the commission where they're like, well, that doesn't look like me. And it's like, well, that's because you
didn't want the bags.
You didn't want your aging on there, and so now it doesn't look like you. You know, if you want to look like you gotta be willing to accept all the good and the bad. So if you have a client like that, and they're like, I want to look like this, like maybe suggest that they go get a glamour shot portrait.
Yeah.
And then where they're happy with their look, and then do your portrait from that, or but you will have, especially if you do portrait work, which I don't do commission portrait work anymore, except on a very limited case by case, and I haven't done it in over a decade. But you will have people who do want a portrait, but they, but they'll just give you a picture. They're like, make me look good. Like, that is a dangerous portrait to do, because they can either be wildly enthusiastic about it.
Just tell them, damn it, Jim, I'm not a doctor.
They can be wildly enthusiastic about it, or they can be very disappointed and very critical of it. So ensure that you have that conversation, if that's what you're doing. So, family members, too. Family members can be harsh. Like, they can be very supportive, but then they can also, because they know you, and they're less likely to hold back, they can also be like, why did you draw? What did you do
to Grandma?
Yeah, why did you draw Grandma like that? She doesn't like that. It's like, because you asked me to. I didn't ask you to do that. All right. Okay. That's my issues.
I would say those are your issues. I'm just quickly looking at my pattern just so I can discern the choices I made when I drew it. Right now it's going to look harsh. This is really dark down here in the fabric. In fact, we'll probably do fabric next week.
Oh, cool.
Because we can do... I actually like doing fabric. I think you can make it look really interesting without having to do a whole lot of work. Alright, so... Sorry, I got a little sidetracked.
Well, Andrea, when you use a younger photo, just make sure that whatever photo that they, if it's a commission, if it's something you're doing, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
As long as you're happy.
If it's something for you, don't worry about it. You make artistic choices.
But if they give you a younger picture, have that conversation. Like, what are we doing here? Exactly.
I love you, but you don't look like this no more.
Yeah.
Is this what you want? And hopefully it'll just be a laugh. Or they say, yeah, I want a picture from when I was a kid. Cool. That is totally fine.
You can do that.
Just got to be honest with people. Don't have to be mean. Never be mean unless it calls for it. Always be honest. Tact is your best friend. Alright, so I'm going to quickly put in the dark line of his hair. So I'm switching back over to the extra small at 4. We'll pull out just so we can see. It's starting to look like him. Definitely needs more shadows.
Wanda says she struggles with clothes.
I can see why some people would be uncomfortable.
You struggle with clothes too. You have a hard time getting into that hoodie.
I don't think he's talking about getting into clothes. Alright, we can take off the... no, we're going to use the tip. We're going to use the tip. Alright.
Well, just let me know.
So I'm going to go right up against the ear. I'm at 4. Actually, I'm going to bump down to 3.5. Excuse me, I can always darken it. So
you say.
I can. Let's see where we're at. That's the inner ear. That's where the inner ear is. It comes up. It goes this way. This is dark. It goes up. And then we got some dark hair coming down.
I think Wanda says, please don't tell me to leave the clothes off.
Alright, I'm going to put the dark in.
Bro's been quiet. I haven't heard nothing from Burl.
Especially since you're doing something.
I know, I'm doing something. I'm not like, yeah, she had lots of opportunities to
Oh, yeah?
no.
I'm using just the tip. I'm getting into the dark part of the ear. You just told on yourself.
I did. Look,
we got dark hair that
I'm
comes in.
multitasking, but I am paying attention.
Yeah, just blocking in real quick so I don't lose my place of things. Losing place of things is quite easy. Alright. So we have the shape of that. This I'm going to have to better shape because he's got a good point on his... I can't remember what this is called. I know what it's called.
What is it?
The distinct.
Oh, I don't know what that's called either.
I know, I know what it's called. I can't think of it. Alright, so I just noticed the bottom of his ear is a little more flat. There we go. I just quickly changed the shape of his ear. I need to darken some shadows down here. I'm going to bump down to 2.5 with this pen. And remember, it's not my favorite for shading. So I got to be a little careful. It grabs the wood different. Not grabs the wood, but interacts with the wood slightly different for shadows. But we can do it. That's the tip. I can see I need to go back. I'm going to go back up to the 3.2. I'm going to touch down while it's still heating. That way it doesn't go full blob on me. And again, this goes back to knowing your pens and knowing your burner regardless of the brand. That doesn't matter. And see, right now it's a little choppy because I'm going against the grain. If I go with the grain, it'll be a smoother burn. So I'm going to bump back down to 2.5. Pull some heat off my tip and go with the grain as much as I can from this angle.
And I'm just letting you know we've just crossed an hour.
Oh, have we?
Yes, we have.
We've just been going and going and going.
That's you.
Let's see. Turn this way. My shading will be smoother. Again. Most of our shadow. Shirt. So, I'm flat right now. Trying to go with the grain. Oh, strokes back and forth. I'll up the temperature. So yeah, next week we will do clothes for him. We have both light and dark and medium, actually. We've got all the tones. Let's see here, let's pull out. How are we looking? Pull back. Look at it from a different point of view. The shadowing is definitely going to have to go darker, and I need to pull it into the chin more. Again, this is me critiquing, not myself, but the piece. So I need to bring in the shadow so I can better shape. I'm looking at, it's about this big of a picture on my monitor versus this. This gives me a different perspective. And then looking over at my reference photo, I can see that's going to go darker here because this is lighter. I did not print a darker one out. I'll do that later. But what you guys are seeing are what is pretty much the picture. I don't want to know.
You're going to know.
Yeah, I do.
Oh.
So I gotta continue with the shading. It definitely needs to go darker on this cheek here. Bring it across. She stretched again. And I have the butt end of the deal. Hello. Hello. Do you want to say hi to the camera? They can see you now. You want to say hi to the camera? Up here. You want to say hi? Yeah. Okay. She's like, I just want food. Don't need to say hi. I just want food. All right. So next week, we're going to do the fabric. We'll do the different areas of the fabric. Let me quickly pull up the photo so that you can see it better. Take that off. Where are you hiding? There we go. Alright, so as you can see, we have dark, medium, and white. They all play together, and these darks are going to play with the hair and the face, so we have to take it all into consideration. That is why I have found blocking in the whole thing where it's not the finished, meaning, you know, I finished this part, it's all the way finished, completely done, because in doing that, you don't leave yourself room to adjust. You need to be able to adjust. So, block it all in to a step down or two of the tone for the area. So what I mean by that is, let's see here, we got some really dark darks right here. I'm not going to go full dark until I get other areas in. Same with the hair and what we did with the face. Get it all blocked in first. That way you can erase all of your graphite. Wipe down the board with denatured alcohol to pull any grime, any oils, and any graphite or eraser yuckies off. And then do your final details, and you will see a big difference.
So what you're saying, I'm just saying it in a different way.
Okay.
But I'm not like.
Okay.
I'm just. So what I'm hearing you say is block it in with midtones so that you can have room for adjustments.
If the midtones are like his coat,
yeah.
If you look at the reference, it's a medium, a light medium tone compared to his vest.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Which is a light dark.
Right, but don't do your darks the darkest that you think that they're going to go. Like go midtones first.
Nope.
And then, yeah, that's also the way I work. Because I find the same thing, that if you go in the darkest that you can, like you're not going to be able to go any darker.
You limit yourself.
Right. And then that might be a mistake. So, you go in lighter than you think that the final thing is going to be, and then that gives you room to make adjustments.
Yeah.
And for you in pyrography, that's really important.
Yeah, you need that room.
Because I can erase. You can.
Yep. Alright, so this is the workable fixative we talked about last week. I have to test what I'm about to show you. I have to test it, and I probably will test it on Edgar because it's not a big deal. But this is the fixative that I mentioned last week. That's UV. The main reason I bought this is because it says without dissolving whites and lights. Now, Carmen, and it happens to everybody. We talked about how the white got darker with this spray. So I was like, okay, this specifically says without dissolving whites and lights. It's still for pastel, charcoal, pencil, and chalk from dusting, smudging, and fading. And this says provides both workable and final protection. That would be for paper. I would not use this as final protection for wood. For paper, it would be fine. But just so you know, again, I need to test this before I say, yeah, go for it. I have a feeling it won't be an issue, but I don't know if this is going to darken the wood more than this one. This one doesn't really darken the wood when you spray it, which is why I switched to this. I did use Kamar varnish to hold down any stuff on the board that I didn't want lifted when I varnished. But Kamar varnish darkens the wood, and I didn't like that. I don't know if this is going to darken the wood, so I have to test it.
Michelle's got to go.
Bye, Michelle. Thank you for being here. We really are ending. Just so you know, if you choose to buy this, this was close to $15 US compared to just under $9 US. So there is a difference in price. I always varnish with Liquitex brush on, so for me, it's not going to matter as much. And I use Liquitex because it has also got a UV protectant. So I don't use UV spray anymore. Yeah, this is what every wood piece is varnished with right here, and it is light, fast, and permanent. So I ain't got to worry about it. So that's what's going to go on top of any workable fixative. Alrighty, next week we're going to do clothes. Alright. Say it with, and if you're new, don't forget to hit subscribe. We do all kinds of fun stuff. At least I think it's fun. Some people think it's me, and whatever.
It's fun.
It's fun.
It's fun. You should be here.
Don't forget to hit like. And if you're watching on replay, please leave a comment. Alright, say it with me. You know what to say. You're awesome. You can do this. Why? Because you're a pyro artist. Happy burning, guys. Bye. They're like food.